Hi friends, it's Deanna here today, and today I'm so excited to be working on another hack. I saw this pattern and oh my word, it is so beautiful. I had to make it and I knew exactly what Ellie and Mac patterns to use to recreate it. And you know what the fun thing is? This is going to be such a quick and easy sew, such good easy patterns, some of my favorites. Let's get started. All right, so the patterns I'm using for this hack is going to be the Glitz and Glamour Dress for the bodice. I went ahead and cut out my size, and I am picking the option that has no flounce, even though how cute would it be with a flounce, and no sleeve, even though, again, how cute would it be with a sleeve, right? So many options. I did the shirt option, and I cut it at the waistline. For the bottoms, I'm using the Southshore Romper bottoms. When I cut these, I cut my size as well.
All right, time to get to sewing, and I'm so excited. This is going to be such a quick and easy sew. I can't wait to get it done. Okay, first of all, we're going to grab our bodices and we're going to match them right sides together. So right sides together at the shoulders and then right sides together at the side seams. I was thinking about this. So one of you mentioned with the clips, I just thought about it because of the clips, that the top of the clips is the colored side, right? And then the bottom side is the one that's the back and it's got the lines on it, right? But you're supposed to put them right side up. But you know what? I never thought about this until somebody mentioned it, but I always put them, I think, backwards on there because I like to have the shape, the scoopy shape, kind of scoop my fabric as I'm putting it on. So I don't know. What do you do? I want you to comment below and let me know, what do you prefer? Do you like the clips facing up or facing down? I don't really know. Anyway, I really didn't think about that until somebody mentioned it. I was like, you know what? That's a good question. Okay, so now I am doing pockets on this romper, which I love. I love a pocket. So I'm going to go ahead and put pockets on. So I'm going to grab my bottoms and I'm going to grab them right side up. And the right side up, and we're going to measure 2 inches from the top. 2 inches. And then I'm going to grab a pocket right side down, the right side to the right side of the fabric, and we're going to face them right sides together and sew the sides seams. So you're going to sew it to that side seam. And we're going to do that for all the sides of your bottom. So the both backs and both fronts. And then we're going to sew them together right there with a stretch stitch. Once you sew them up and you open them, they'll be like this, and then we'll sew them together. So we're going to do that to all the sides, right sides together. Oh, and the pocket needs to be facing down so that your hand can go in like a pocket. Okay, I told you I like to do most of everything I can at the same time. So I'm also grabbing my sleeve cuff because I'm doing sleeveless. So this is going to be like my band around my sleeve. I'm folding it right sides together and sewing that shore raw edge right there. And then I'm going to grab my sash and I'm going to match up both of those sashes. You cut 2 right sides together at that one of the shore raw edges. It really doesn't matter which one because they're just 2 ends. We're going to sew it together. And then what we'll do is after we're going to sew them in like a tube and create one long sash. So I'm going to be sewing this on my serger, but you can do any stretch stitch. You can use serger or your sewing machine on your stretch stitch. All right, so now that we've got all those pieces put together, we're going to put them aside and grab our bottoms because we're going to work on those bottom pieces. Okay, I've got, here's my 2 fronts. The way you know if it's a front or a back or if they're both fronts and backs is the crotch seam has to be the same. So this, as you can tell, the crotch seam here is taller, this back one, and this shorter one. So this is a front piece. So we're going to put a front piece over here. And this is the bodice. So we're going to put the bodice and the sleeve thing over here. We'll work on that in a minute. Here's another piece and another piece. So, oh no, this is the band. We're gonna work that in a minute. And here is our, oh, okay, so, and here's our two other pieces. So now what we're going to do is we're gonna grab a back and a front, and you're gonna see the leg. So here's a leg, and you see the curve here. This is right side up because the pocket is folded out. So that's the right side. And here is my front leg. And I laid it right on top and I didn't realize it. But here's because you can see that our crotch seam is shorter here on the front leg, which means this is a front, this is a back. You want to make sure that they match, they go against each other. And then the pockets match right sides together. So we're going to match them right sides together. And we sew the outer seam and the inner seam. So the outer edge and the inside seam. Okay, and we're going to go around the pocket. Now, if you don't have a pocket, then you'll just go straight down. But I have a pocket, so we're going to go all the way around. So we'll go down around the pocket and down the whole rest of the leg, and do the same for the inside, go all the way down the inside, and then for the other leg as well. All right, so those pant legs are getting worked on. At the same time, I'm going to grab my sash. You do not have to do everything at the same time quite like I do, but I just like to have everything just prepared. And then at the end, it kind of all comes together and you're like, yes, I'm done. Okay, so yeah, that's what I do. So we're gonna grab our sash and face them right sides together. So here's my seam here in the middle. So we're just gonna match that up and then go down one side and then down the other side. But while we do that, we're also going to leave a gap. So I'm gonna start probably at the one side and go all the way down almost to the center and just leave a gap here of about 2 inches or so, maybe 4 inches, because that way I will turn this around and then we'll top stitch that closed later. So we leave that gap and we go all the way down, sewing right sides together, the raw edges. So I'll start at this end and I'll go up the sides here, go up and then over, down, stop, leave a gap, start back up, and go all the way down the other side. Tell me, what are your favorite hacks you've ever done with Ellie Mac patterns? I am wearing probably my favorite hack I've done in a long time. I love this combination. I love this half zip right here, quarter zip I have right here. If you haven't checked out that video, make sure you do so. It's on our channel, so make sure you check it out. I just love being able to grab different patterns and mix them together to create something that I really love. Like okay, this is kind of one of the things that I like to do. I like to go through Pinterest and just kind of search, just look at like different fashion things, different outfits, even on Amazon or even when I'm at the store. And then I look and I take a picture if I find something I really like. And then I'm like, and then I sit there and I think, what patterns can I use to recreate this? It's like my favorite thing to do. As you all know, I'm always trying to hack one thing or the other. I don't know why. I just love it. Okay, so now we're gonna grab our bodice and we have this arm side here is open and we've got our little arm fun fingle thingy. And I want some scissors because I wanna clip the extra thread. There. I'm gonna clip this extra fancy foos. I don't even know what that was. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the band and I'm going to fold it wrong sides together to create like the band. And then I'm going to go towards the end. So like this is the half. I'm going to go towards the other half. And you can clip it somehow, mark it. Sometimes I like to do a little snip to mark it. It's up to you. That's our half right there. And then I like to match up. We're going to match up our 2 points or 2 halves and go to the sides because those are our quarters. This fabric is a little funny. It doesn't like to stay folded. So there's no point in like me trying to steam it closed because it's not going to happen. It's just going to keep opening. It's I like to think it's somehow like a pont or something like that. I didn't really see what the fabric content was when I bought it. But I just liked the heaviness of it. Like I like the weight of it. It's not super heavy, but it's also not super light. I didn't want it to be see-through or like too light, but I also didn't want it to be like so heavy because, you know, like you can wear all year round type of situation. That's what I was thinking of. So the seam, I'm going to place that seam over here where the armpit is. And oh, what I'm going to do is I'm going to match up the armpit and the shoulder seam and go to the sides and mark where those are, those quarters, because we're going to match up those quarters with the quarters of our little band. And then the right side of the fabric, we're going to match up that seam first here. I like that seam to be at the armpit seam, matching them up together. And then the other notches, matching them up together. And you're just like lightly stretching, not very much. And then for the neck area, I gotta go cut my elastic. So let's go do all these things and then we'll come back to work on the neck area and the bottoms. We're getting so close. This is gonna be so good. All right, for my strap here, not my strap, my band, I like to start at where that seam is and line that up under my machine. Give it a little stitches, and then I'm gonna pull on that first quarter and pull and even it out so it's all nice and straight and soft. And then go to the next quarter and do the same thing. With the pocket, we're just gonna get right here and I'm just gonna slightly turn and go around that pocket. Kind of slowly going around. And then here again, we're gonna kind of flatten it out. Don't let the knife cut a hole into it and then turn. All right, so I've got my neckline elastic here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold it right sides together, make sure it's not folded, it's not turned or nothing. And I'm just gonna sew it together here at the end with a zigzag stitch. There it is. All right, so here's a few things. Let's just get this sash out of the way because it's easy. What we do is we open up that gap that we left here and we're going to bring the whole thing out to turn it right side out first. Use whatever you have to poke out the points, the corners, and then do the same on towards the other side. Okay, now this gap that we have here, we can close it by just like going to our sewing machine and top stitching there or hand stitching, however you want to close it. I'll just probably go to my sewing machine, put some black thread on and just stitch it right down, folding that allowance into the inside right there. And our sash is done, so we can put it to the side. We finished something. Yes. Okay. Our neck area. So, whoa. Things are going everywhere. I should probably clean up my space a little bit. Okay, I've got my elastic here, which is 2 inches smaller than the neck opening. And I'm going to find my quarters. So I'm going to go from the back point where we sewed it together to the front. You do not want to snip your elastic. So I'm just marking it with some clips and then matching the front and back and going to the 2 sides. Okay, and right here, we're gonna match up the front and back and match up the 2 sides and mark our front and our back. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab that seam here. I like that seam again. I like it to be at the armpit. So we're gonna place this elastic on the inside of our fabric, touching the wrong side of our fabric, because then once we sew it on, we're going to tilt this under and top stitch it. Okay, and we're going to match up those quarter points. So you're just going to be like stretching lightly for it to fit. And that would be our bodice here. We'll we'll sew that on, and I'll probably just sew it on with my serger, but you could sew it on with a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine, either way. Then we're gonna fold it under and top stitch. I may do a zigzag stitch actually. I just need to change the thread to black on my serger, but on my sewing machine, but it's fine. That takes 2 seconds. Don't be lazy. And then I'll top stitch it on, and then I'll zigzag stitch it on, and then I'll top stitch it later once I go hem. So I'll do the hem and the top stitching off the top at the same time because I'll have to change my machine into a cover stitch, and I'll show you that. Okay, so that's done there. Now the legs, I'm gonna grab one leg and open it up. I'm going to grab the other leg and turn it right side out. So I'm going to flip the leg all the way. And then I'm going to grab the one leg and fit it into the other leg. And I'm going to match up right sides together here at the crotch seam. And then we're going to go up one side. One side should be your back. And so they should fit really nice and even. And then the other side, right sides together. So I'm gonna go sew this up with my serger. With my sewing machine, I'm going to zigzag stitch the neckline. And then after I sew this up and zigzag stitch the neckline, I'm gonna grab the waist here of the bottoms, and I'm going to put in a gathering stitch at the top. And a gathering stitch is going to be the longest stitch, the longest straight stitch on my sewing machine, because I'm going to gather the bottoms to fit the waist of my bodice. Okay, I'm putting the long basting stitch at the top of the pants for gathering, and I want to leave a long tail first. Now, if you want to up your tension a little bit, sometimes that helps gather it as you go. Then when you're done, you want to leave a long tail again so it can help you gather. Sometimes I like to do 2 rows of stitches. Sometimes I just do 1. It's up to you. If you do 2 rows, it helps you gather a little bit easier. All right, now for our elastic, I'm going to do like a zigzag stitch. It's not super tight. And then I'm going to grab my elastic and place it right at the edge of my fabric. And I'm going to zigzag stitch by stretching and stitching that elastic to the bodice. Actually, I'm going to make that a longer. See right there, the zigzag stitch. You can't really see it on the other side. When we fold this over and top stitch, you won't even be able to see it. This is going to be the inside. First of all, while my sewing machine was still on, I went back to a regular straight stitch, and I am going to top stitch that sash, the gap that I left on the sash. Just tucking those seam allowances and baste. Top stitch. And my thread has come undone, so we gotta fix that. Now, if you wanted to top stitch the whole thing around, you can, but I don't really feel like it. I just wanted to top stitch that one spot. Top stitching it all the way around does look nice sometimes too, though. I am so excited. We are almost done. Okay, so for the neckline, what we're gonna do, the only thing we need to do for the neckline really is to fold this over under itself and top stitch it, just stretching lightly as we go to tighten all that up all the way around. And then our bodice is done. Okay, now turning my bodice right side out, we're gonna grab our bottoms, and we gotta gather our bottoms to fit our bodice. So you see how our bottoms are a little bit wider than our bodice. So we're gonna grab here. And you know what? I'm going to mark my center. So match up the 2 sides and mark the front and the back. And then we're going to pull to gather the one side. I like to just kind of place it right here to the bodice. So that way I know, like, here's my front. It has to be gathered that much, the 1/2. And then the other half will have to be gathered that much as well. See, like right there. So now I can even out those gathers on this side. I want them to be nice and even and beautiful. Okay, and then I'm gonna flip it and do the same course on the other side. So pull the basting stitch that's going the other way and gather that. Okay, anything that's gathered on off, and then fix those gathers to fit evenly. And now they should be nice and even. See that? Okay, and then now we're going to attach it. So we can either fold that in right here. So we're going right sides together. This is my front. So I want to make sure that my front is going to match the front of my bottoms. So fit it in there and match that front, that quarter point, that front quarter point with the front of your bottoms. And then you're matching them all right sides together here at the waist to the back of your pants. And then I'm going to sew it on my serger. And then all I'll have left to do is my hem and to top stitch the top of my bodice. And we are done. I do those quarter points first, and then I make sure I line up the rest of each quarter. I'm gonna line them up nicely so that those gathers are standing up straight and they're not gonna tuck in on you. To top stitch that neckline and the hem, you can either you could use a zigzag stitch, just like the zigzag stitch I used to put it on. You could do that. That would work just fine. Or you could do cover stitch, which is probably what I'll do. And then just top stitch it. You could do a double needle. I just broke a clip. You could do a double needle. It's up to you how you want to hem that. And we do have a video here on our YouTube channel that shows different ways of hemming if you want to check that out. I'm so excited.
So this is a serger / cover stitch. So what I'm doing right now is top stitching, which is with the cover stitch. If you can see here, it's got the 2 threads there, and then on the back it's finished off. So can you see, like, that's like a finished off stitch. It's kind of hard to see. You can see it better when I put it right here under the light. It is, there we go. It is finished off on that edge, and then on this side it's got that double needle stitch. That's a cover stitch there. And this is the Baby Lock Accolade. It does both things. Now all I've got to do is to hem my bottoms, and I think I'm going to hem them at an inch hem to give them a nice good hem.
All right, friends, we are done. And I am telling you, I am obsessed with how this turned out. So cute. I just love it. The wide legs. Now, if you want a more tapered look, you could either leave the Shore Rompers as it was. I kind of went out a little bit as I was cutting them out. Or you can even use the Midsummer Night Romper pants, because those are more tapered. So you could do those instead. But I just love how flowy these are. And this fabric is like, it doesn't really wrinkle very much. So it's going to be perfect to take with me when I go on trips or anything like that. I think it turned out so good. What do you think? These two pair so well. I'm so excited about it. Let me know in the comments below what you think, if you're going to try this hack, and what other hacks have you been eyeing saying, oh, I wish you would try this and see what it looks like. Let me know below. So go grab your patterns, come back and sew them up with me, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.